And good morning. We welcome in Pat McGuigan, as we do every Saturday morning. Pat, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks.
A lot to talk about, and let's talk about Governor Fallin. We're about to enter the home stretch of the legislative session. I'd like for you, if you could, to kind of give her a grade. How's she doing? I know she's been able so far to avoid the deep budget cuts, and that seems important to her. Is she going to be able to avoid that, and are there certain things she's not going to be able to push through this session?
That's a real interesting topic. You know,
that's a lot.
To quickly sum up, they really are making a lot of progress on things where the Republicans are unified, which is most things. We've talked about it before, but just in the past several days, this calendar week, lawsuit reform legislation is very significant and very contentious and controversial, and it's through the legislature and signed into law, including the hard cap, which actually attracted some Republican opposition, but she had the votes, and it's going to be the law. Aerospace engineering tax credit. Now, tax credits have been controversial, not necessarily the aerospace engineer incentive, which have been helpful in the Boeing situation, but nonetheless, you know, tax credits are a little bit challenged this session. It's through, and it's been signed into law. A quick action closing fund to give the governor essentially a pot of money, a little more controversial. Economic development tool. It's on its way through the process. A whole slew of substantive education policy reforms are really quite substantial, even without the choice measures, school choice measures that are coming after.
Very Florida-like.
Very Florida-like. Jeb Bush was in town last week and really fired up the Republicans. And of course, he's a guy that spent 8 years doing it. Yeah. It's not like it's theory. So there's, on the plus side, if you absolutely had to give her that grade, it'd be a B-, but since it's not, we're going to give her an I, and here's why, an incomplete.
Incomplete? Okay.
Yeah, incomplete. I had a couple of those back when school. The healthcare exchange there's a lot of substantive and sincere and principled opposition to the particular form of the healthcare exchange system that the governor hoped to set up, and that had, you know, wide agreement from other state officials. Ran into roadblocks in the Senate. Fallin remains very wed to the exchange idea, but there's a thought that there might be other vehicles or ways to create this information pool for consumers without totally buying into what critics call Obamacare. There's that. The budget. This is the big one. Now, we may have within the next week to 10 days to 2 weeks an agreement announced. There's scuttlebutt that that's possible. Fallin has still been saying core agencies, education, public safety, corrections, keep it to 3% budget cuts, and 5% on the average for other agencies. The Republicans in the legislature are saying 5 to 7%. And again, these are points we've covered before, but that's a quick overview. The budget is the linchpin. Every year, it's the thing that brings the most people to the Capitol, fills up that room in the fourth-floor rotunda. So that's how I assess it right now. They really have been pretty disciplined and methodical in getting things through. But even if you're disciplined, sometimes people are going to disagree when they're on the same side of the fence.
It'll be interesting to hear what you give her. We give her I right now, and we'll see where you are once the session is finished. Let's talk for a second about the Democrats. Now, without any authority really there in the legislature for the first time. And I mean, are they coming up with any methods to get their stuff in? I mean, you know, I've seen some interesting coalitions try to form, but do they have any tricks up their sleeve to get stuff through here before the session's out?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I think the tricks up their sleeve are going to be to, a little more selectively perhaps from here on in, but work with some Republicans on denying emergency clauses or slowing things down. I think that will continue. They've had a couple of press conferences that have gotten a lot of coverage from me and from other colleagues at the Capitol. Very concerned about the budget process. They're now being more critical of the governor than they were being in terms of how she puts the budget together. Critical of the bond issue proposals. They're asking tough questions that, frankly, the reporters have been asking, which are, where's the tax credit that you're throwing out? You know, are there 4 or 5 credits you're going to throw out the window? And they're making the case, whether it's plausible or not, they're making the case it's at least at first glance plausible, that you need to throw those out in order to, some of them, in order to close that couple of $100 million gap if Fallin's cuts are not sufficient on the technology and consolidation side. So there's a thumbnail. The Democrats, I think, are being a little more effective today than 2 weeks ago.
All right. Well, we appreciate your insights. As always, you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, thanks so much. Have a great day.